I now request the PFPA President, Mr. Jameel Hamdani, to please come to the podium and address the distinguished audience.
Honorable Chief Guest, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the business community, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you. And I thank you all for being here. Pakistan-France Business Alliance has taken the initiative of organizing this brainstorming session with Dr. Ishrat Hussain, Dean of the prestigious business school IBA and former Governor of the State Bank of Pakistan. Dr. Ishrat Hussain, who is our keynote speaker, is one of the most eminent economic experts of the country. Hopefully, Dr. Ishrat will help us all to see more clearly into the economic challenges that lie ahead for the new government. Without an iota of doubt, the last 5 years have been a watershed for Pakistan in every department. The prestige of Pakistan is at its lowest ebb, which should explain why we as a country are being badgered around. In my view, it is the powers that be who should be held responsible for our country's predicament. And the reason is there was a blatant contradiction between their convictions and their conduct. Like all our countrymen, but more so the business community, is eager to know the economic roadmap that the new government will give itself. This is only normal, because as industrialists, bankers, traders, and business managers, we stand to benefit by the economic turnaround and lose by the economic downturn. Over and above the increase in the business activity, improvement in the investment climate, higher employment, and economic well-being will impact positively on the social climate and on the economic attractiveness of the country for foreign investors. It is not only the economic and monetary policy framework laid down by the government, but the overall economic, political, and social governance which play a key role in stepping up the economy. The business and the industrialist class can exercise all its dynamism and initiative, but it would be counterproductive if the current account balance of the country is in the red, if the exchange reserves are dwindling, if the domestic and foreign debts are skyrocketing, if the law and order situation does not inspire confidence, if the day-to-day security is not guaranteed, if the basic communication, transport, and storage infrastructure is deficient, and if foreign investors and buyers hesitate in coming to Pakistan. It's not only a question of public policy, but of political will, determination, competent management of economic resources, able economic diplomacy, consistency in economic policy, and above all, delivery. While we can by no means impose an economic agenda on the next government, we can contribute our bit towards the national debate by voicing our concerns and highlighting the problems which, according to us, need to be dealt with on priority basis. Leaving it to Dr. Ishrat to give a general overview of the economic challenges awaiting the government, I would briefly enumerate some of the basic issues impacting the industry and the business activity. Number one, energy. Electricity and gas shortfalls have crippled the industry, especially the medium and small industry, as a result of which employment rate is falling, which in turn is deteriorating the social climate. The export-oriented industries like textile are unable to meet the deadlines, thus losing clientele. Energy shortage is one of the main reasons behind the reduction of domestic investment, weakening of the confidence of the industrialists, and the lack of new ventures. 2. Weakening of the rupee against major world currencies has multiplied the cost of modernization and upgradation of the industry. The investment in new machinery in the textiles sector, which was touching $1 billion per annum between 2002 and 2006, has come down to such low levels that even the routine balancing modernization and replacements have been compromised, not to speak of any large-scale industrial investments. 3. While the unprecedented rise in foreign remittances has somewhat alleviated the balance of current account, Pakistan has to a large extent missed the boat as far as the potential in exports is concerned. For example, despite being the fourth largest cotton growing country in the world, Pakistan has fallen way behind in benefiting from the exponential rise in the international trade of textiles and garments. Similarly, in the agro-food and dairy sectors, the full potential in exports is largely untapped, although the domestic market in these sectors is expanding and leading players are developing the range of their own products. 4. The law and order situation. Insecurity and the rise in crime rate have led to the flight of human resources and capital. Business initiatives, even in commercial and services sectors, have dried up. 5. Infrastructural deficiencies. The fast deteriorating railways network and the national airlines, intercity and intracity road and transport system are negatively impacting the mobility of manpower and goods. 6. Lack of transparency in public contracts. Delays in authorizations and administrative procedures, like for example in the registration and patenting of new drugs, have slowed down the activity across the board in all economic sectors, particularly in construction and in the pharmaceutical industry. 7. The increased incidence of direct taxation and the lack of progress in bringing agricultural income tax net into the income tax net have translated into increased fiscal burden for urban areas and classes. And finally, economic diplomacy needs to be revitalized at a time when the GSP Plus of the European Union is due to come up for negotiations in January 2014. The European Union accounts for nearly 1/3 of our total exports. The GSP Plus for our textile exports will mean gross increase not only in exports but in the employment level. The human rights compliance part would need to be fulfilled not only on paper but in practice in order to qualify for GSP Plus. These were some very rudimentary and by no means exhaustive points aimed at highlighting some very urgent problems needing attention on the part of our future economic planners. I now request Dr. Ishrat Hussain to enlighten us on the subject, followed by a question-answer session. Thank you.